Good morning. At Dell, we absolutely believe that the future belongs to those who can build digital technologies and those that can use technology to solve the world's biggest challenges. Job growth in the technology industry continues to outpace that of other industries and is projected to do so over the next 10 years. By 2020, employment in computer-related occupations in the United States is expected to increase by nearly 25%. That makes a ton of sense because at the core of every company is a technology company today. Technology is the critical enabler. We see it at Dell, our customers see it, a number of which are here in the audience with us today. National Grid, General Electric, Uber, Fidelity, as well as a number of great Boston universities and hospitals. This will only become even more obvious in the future because any company starting out today will need to redefine their business, redefine the industry in order to compete and in order to succeed. And technology will be the enabler of this transformation. There is so much opportunity for so many of us to change the game when it comes to how the public sector and the private sector embrace this new normal. 93 out of 100 STEM occupations have wages that are above the US national average. Programming jobs are growing at 12% faster than the market average and paying $20,000 more than jobs that do not require any coding skills. We have to have a strong pipeline of talent, but unfortunately there are many groups, including women, that are being left behind. Women make up only 32% of the world's STEM graduates and hold just 24% of the information and technology jobs. Less than 25% of the students who took the Advanced Computer Science Placement A exam last year were women. And all of that being said, there are still some positive signs that we are seeing. Just this week, the Wall Street Journal reported that women as a share of STEM degree recipients increased in 9 out of 10 of the largest programs over the last 4 years. This is in part due to the aggressive marketing campaigns that some of these colleges have launched. And it's great to see this big push around changing the paradigm and the thinking about the role of technology in fields like science and engineering. And it's paying off right here in Massachusetts. Worcester Polytech Institute, an alma mater of our very own Beth Phelan, who is president of the Dell data protection business, is a graduate there. And WPI is doing some amazing work in a number of strategies to enroll and retain women. And this fall, 43% of the first-year students are women, a 10 percentage point jump from last year, and nearly a 20-point jump in the last decade. But outside of this shining example, it's not such a great story when you put a lens on engineering and technology roles. Because despite making up for more than half of the college graduates, women are receiving only 2 out of 10 of the degrees in fields such as computer science and engineering. That simply is not good enough because if left unchecked, and if we keep fishing in the same places for where the world's future talent is going to come, we are not going to be able to keep up with the demand of what the world is going to need. And we simply cannot afford to lose the perspective of women if they aren't at the table when products and services and innovation are happening. They're going to lose a huge opportunity to bring the wealth of all of their knowledge and their insights to bear and how that is reflected across our customer base. To change the research and to change the trajectory and the landscape, we need an all-hands-on-board effort, government, policymakers, other public sector leaders, and more importantly, the private sector. So that's why we are here today. We want to share best practices, we want to collaborate, we want to align on the critical actions to increase the number of women in STEM and to keep them in STEM. Last year I had the opportunity, and I was super intrigued by this research that was done by industry analyst Michelle Bailey around what gets girls excited about STEM, what are those triggers, when they stay, why do they stay? And when they leave, why do they leave? This research she has conducted over the last couple of years in partnership with the Women in Technology International, or WITI, has turned out, in my humble opinion, some of the most interesting, actionable insights in this particular area. So I'd like to invite Michelle Bailey, Vice President, General Manager, and Research Fellow at IDC, to join me on stage and have a conversation in this area.
Good morning. Good morning.
Michelle and I go way back.
We do.
So, you know, you and I have poured through the research and everything. Give the audience here a sense for what are some of the insights, right? What triggers girls to get into STEM? What keeps them in the STEM field? And then probably more importantly, when they leave, why do they leave?
Yeah, so the research that we've conducted over the last couple of years with Women in Technology International, we started talking to women in STEM, and then last year they conducted some research that compared results of women to men in STEM work fields. And it was very, very interesting to compare that data. What we found is that women and men have the same ambitions in their career. How about that? So I think sometimes, right? There's this bias in the marketplace that women aren't as serious about their jobs, that they're not as committed to their jobs, when in fact, the data that we see, women actually are more serious about a lot of success attributes in their career. Both men and women are interested in science and technology careers because it drives knowledge with them, it brings them feelings of personal success. They feel like there's an employability aspect to it, right? That there's continuity in their career. And in the middle of that is compensation. So while we sometimes think that everybody's in it for the money or everyone's in it because they're looking for success, compensation actually sits somewhere in the middle. Women are a lot more interested in respect and consider this notion of respect as a success attribute in their career, while men and women both agree that flexibility and work-life balance is very important. So I think there's some of these biases that when we consider what women want in their career from STEM, that it's this idea of well, I can have time off and I have flex time. Men want that too today. So if both men and women want the same things from their career, it's more important than ever that we level the playing field, right, and that we make it an equal opportunity for everybody.
So what do you see, Michelle, as in the early days, I mean, we just heard from Maya and her dad, what do you see in those early days really kind of entice a girl to get super interested in this?
Yep. Well, I think Eric is the prototype, right? So we know that early on, having a parent in STEM most affects a girl's choice in their career in science and technology. We also know that if there's an early mentor in the elementary school system, that has a very positive effect as well on women as they enter the workforce. But we still know that 1 in 7 women, when they graduate with a degree in science and technology, actually enter a field in STEM. So it tells us that even with all of these great things that we have going on, that there's something still not working, right? So we have 2 problems. We've got a pipeline problem. We don't have enough women going into STEM. And then we also have an issue that when they do get into STEM fields and work in STEM careers, that the culture in these companies, women are feeling that they don't have the opportunities that are available to them for things that they want to be successful. Knowledge, opportunity, this sense of purpose. So there's still a lot of work to be done. I think it's important, though, for companies, particularly in the private sector, to focus on what are the success attributes, right? I think we talk a lot about why do women leave? What is it that makes them leave? I think we need to start focusing on what's going to make them stay and what are they looking for in their careers.
Yeah, and you know, this has been a big focus area for Dell, this whole area around culture and training and unconscious social bias. And
what are you going to do about bias?
Yeah, well, we've trained, 80% of our executives, and we'll hit 100% here over the next couple of months. I think a real light bulb moment goes off when you can get a group of leaders around the table and start to share some of the perspectives and things like that. What I find fascinating about it is so many of the leaders immediately then go to their daughters. I mean, we saw it on stage, right? I mean, I want my daughter to have more opportunities. I've got to change the game. I've got to, be part of all of this. So we're seeing so many more men being part of this conversation. because they want to make, their work environment at Dell better, but they also want to do it for the next generation, and a lot of them have daughters.
Men have to come to the table on this. We know that half of the time when a woman has a professional mentor, that mentor is a man. So we can't do it without men. So I think that that is a very important program that you have. And I think that this notion of that we all have to accept that we all have these subconscious biases, right? We all have them in ourselves. Sometimes I find myself pulling them in check. I think that we have to really talk about it a lot more. And I think the more we talk about it, the less uncomfortable it becomes, right? And the more it becomes part of an accepted practice. And I think, the culture that you're talking about creating at Dell, I think is an incredibly important, especially in technology sectors, right? We've all heard the horror stories, particularly in tech, in VC industries, right? We especially have to continue the conversations there and I think really up-level the need to make sure that those practices don't continue.
And the other thing I found interesting about your research is when women leave the STEM field, why do they leave and where do they go?
Yeah, they're looking for more opportunity. They don't go home, right? They don't go stay home. They go out and they find another job somewhere else. Or they look at starting their own business. 30% of women today in STEM are looking at either starting their own business or actually have started their own business. They don't always go into STEM. 2/3 of the time they go into STEM. The other third of the time they don't go into STEM.
Interesting. We saw it this year at our Dell Women's Entrepreneur Network event, the number of fast-growing female entrepreneurs that were in the fields of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, cloud, semiconductor. I mean, it was staggering versus what we saw just 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So it certainly validates what what you're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, the issue for women looking to start their own business in STEM is, again, they have the same issues that men do. How do I get funding? It's very risky for me. What we do see, though, is that women who look to start their own business, one of the hurdles that they face that we don't see as much with men up front is that they're constantly considering what the impact of their family is going to be and what it's going to do to their work-life balance. They think a lot about that up front. What we also see is that men, when they start their own business, later on they figure out, oh my gosh, this is really impacting my work-life balance. But I think the important part...
They'll get there just at a different time.
Exactly. But I think the important part is you probably lose a lot of women up front because they don't feel like they have the support or they don't have the time. It feels too risky for them, yet men just kind of jump in there, they take that leap, and they figure it out later on, right? So that's still the difference that we're seeing in the marketplace today.
Well, that's a big reason why we're here, right? So let's talk. This is a multifaceted opportunity, right? It's going to take kind of the public sector and the private sector to really come together. One of the things that I loved having Maya and her dad up here is this whole theme around role models.
Yeah, right.
And the critical role. I mean, I see it with my daughters.
Yep, absolutely.
I see it with other girls, and you can't overemphasize.
In my family, absolutely.
They want to see it. We need to have more of those. We just launched a program at Dell where we're trying to challenge 140,000 of our team members around the world to mentor a girl in STEM and use that as a way to just continue to build the pipeline. Our team members love to be part of this. We have a video that we'd like to show all of you around it. We're going to be talking more about it in the International Day of the Girl that will be coming up, International Women's Day. And we think it's a great opportunity for all of us, just kind of one girl, one student, at a time to just kind of give back to the community. So take a look at the video.
I'm Quinn Lankford. I'm 15. I'm going into 10th grade at Cedar Ridge High School. I think it's important for people, especially in this generation, to get involved in STEM. My parents studied engineering in college, and I just saw what my parents were doing, and it really inspired me.
I'm proud to hear my daughter, who's 15, talk about STEM and how important it is to her, and also to talk about her parents as role models. I think for any parent, you want your child to exceed the success that you've had.
Susie Rich was actually a founder of our robotics team. She founded this robotics team so that her daughter and other girls could have the same opportunities as boys did. Because of the work that Susie has done, over 40 girls are now on our team. Some of them never even touched a drill or a wrench or anything before joining the team, and now they've gained tons of knowledge. And she's a perfect example of how one person can impact so many kids' lives.
My job as mentor is to keep the door open. You have to let the girls try. You have to let them fail. Failure is great. And you have to let them fail in a safe place. Quinn started 4 years ago, and Quinn was quiet. Her eyeballs were always bright and sparkling. And then we heard this voice start speaking, and it was like, whoa, wait, that was Quinn. Whoa, this girl's coming. And she's going to go and be and do something because it has started.
The most recent STEM project that I worked on and was really excited about was the robot that my robotics team recently built. Every year we have a new challenge and we have to build a new robot. I'm really proud of it because every piece was built by a girl on our team.
In STEM-related fields, only 25% of the jobs are currently held by women. It really points out the need for role models. It points out the need for mentoring.
It's why we're launching this Power of One Mentor Challenge. 1 hour, one child, one conversation at a time about these careers in STEM and technology.
I'd like schools to have more of a variety of STEM classes and really encourage girls and minorities to take those classes. Girls are over 50% of the population, and we're losing most of the perspective in our society if we exclude them. We really need everyone we can get and every solution we can get to face the problems we have.